Hey, you. Yes, the one watching this. What if I told you that one night a woman who was always quiet, always kind, was humiliated in front of a crowd until the doors opened and her billionaire husband walked in, changing everything in seconds? Stick till the end because this story will make your heart race. And before we dive in, don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button for more stories that will stay with you forever. The night had started beautifully for Emily. She wasn't the type who liked parties or loud bars, but tonight was special, her best friend's engagement. She had spent hours getting ready, wearing a soft ivory gown that shimmered under the dim lights, her hair falling in waves, her smile shy but warm. She looked like a dream, though deep down she never believed she was one. The bar was alive with laughter, glasses clinking, music humming low in the background. Emily was standing near the corner, quietly sipping her mocktail, unaware that a storm was about to shatter her calm. The crowd there wasn't entirely friendly. Among them were three women she had once known, Melissa, Grace, and Tanya, ex-colleagues who never liked her quietness, who had always been jealous of the fact that she had married the man every woman in the city whispered about. Alexander Reed, the mysterious billionaire who rarely appeared in public. They had seen Emily enter alone, and that was enough reason for them to strike. "Look who finally decided to show up," Melissa sneered, her glass half raised. "Still pretending to be a lady, Emily." Grace joined, fake laughter spilling like poison. Emily didn't want trouble. She smiled faintly and turned away, but the women circled her like vultures. "What's the matter? Husband didn't come," Tanya teased, her voice loud enough to draw attention. People began turning their heads. "Oh, wait," Melissa added cruelly. "Maybe he finally realized what kind of woman he married." Emily's throat tightened. She didn't respond. She never did. Silence had always been her shield, but that only made them bolder. Melissa reached for Emily's drink and poured it on the floor beside her, the liquid splashing onto her gown. "Oops," she mocked, pretending to stumble. Laughter echoed around. Emily stepped back, blinking rapidly to fight the tears. "Please," she whispered, her voice shaking. But they weren't done. "That gown looks expensive," Tanya said, stepping closer. "Must be his money, right?" Then, with one sudden, cruel tug, she grabbed at the fabric near Emily's shoulder, and it tore. The sound of ripping silk sliced through the music, and everything fell silent. The laughter, the whispers, the clinking glasses, all gone. Emily froze, her eyes wide in shock as cold air brushed her exposed skin. The room tilted. Someone gasped. Melissa smirked. Grace laughed nervously, and Tanya just shrugged, muttering, "Guess it wasn't made well." For a moment, Emily stood there, her heart pounding in her ears. Humiliation wrapped around her like chains. She could feel the eyes, hundreds of them, burning into her. She turned to leave, clutching the torn fabric against her chest, tears threatening to spill, when suddenly the main doors swung open. The noise, the whispers, even the music, all stopped again, but this time not out of mockery, out of awe. Alexander Reed had just walked in. He was tall, broad-shouldered, his black suit perfectly fitted, his expression unreadable, but dangerously calm. Every woman in that room recognized him instantly, the billionaire whose name carried both fear and fascination. His cold blue eyes scanned the room once, and when they landed on Emily, standing broken and trembling, something dark flickered within them. He started walking forward, each step echoing like a thunderclap against the floor. No one spoke. The air grew heavy. Melissa froze mid-smirk. Grace lowered her glass. Tanya stepped back. Alexander reached Emily, took off his coat without a word, and gently draped it over her shoulders. "Who did this?" he asked, his voice low, controlled, terrifyingly quiet. Emily shook her head, but he wasn't asking her anymore. His gaze lifted to the three women, and the ice in his eyes made even the bartender step back. "I'll ask again," he said, his tone now like steel. "Who did this?" Melissa's confidence shattered instantly. It was an accident," she stammered. She spilled her drink." "That's a lie," someone from the crowd said quietly. "They did it on purpose." The voice came from a man who had been sitting nearby watching everything. More voices followed. "I saw it, too. They ripped her gown. They laughed." The truth spread like wildfire. Alexander's jaw tightened. He turned slightly, nodding once. Within seconds, two of his security men, who had arrived right behind him, stepped forward. "Escort them out," he said. "And make sure they apologize before they do." The women began to panic. "Wait, no, we didn't mean to. Please," Tanya's voice cracked. But Alexander's silence was more frightening than any words. The guards stopped before them. "On your knees," one of them said coldly. "Apologize." The crowd watched in stunned silence as Melissa, Grace, and Tanya, trembling, lowered themselves slowly to the floor. Melissa's mascara streaked down her face as she whispered, "We're sorry." Emily's heart ached. She wasn't the type to enjoy revenge, but she had never felt so small, so broken. And now this was something beyond her control. She reached for Alexander's hand. "Please," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Just let it go. I want to leave." Alexander looked at her for a long moment, then nodded, his expression softening slightly. He turned to the guards. "Let them go." Then wrapping his arm protectively around her, he guided her out of the bar. The crowd parted like the sea. No one dared to speak. The doors closed behind them and the murmurs began. A mixture of shock, envy, and awe. Outside, under the soft glow of street lights, Emily finally let the tears fall. Alexander turned to her, cupped her face gently, and whispered, "No one touches you ever." His voice broke at the edges, raw and real. "You should have called me." She shook her head. "I didn't want to cause a scene." "They caused it," he said, his tone steady again. "You just stood there, too kind to fight back. But they won't forget tonight." She looked up at him, eyes red but shining. "Neither will I," she whispered. He smiled faintly, brushing her hair aside. "Let's go home," he said. And as the car drove away, leaving behind the lights, the whispers, and the humiliation turned into strength, Emily rested her head on his shoulder, silent, safe, and loved. She didn't know that this night, the night her gown was torn and her dignity tested, would mark the beginning of something deeper. Alexander had seen her pain, and now he would move heaven and earth to make sure no one ever saw her cry again. The next morning, Emily woke up in Alexander's arms, the memory of last night still haunting her eyes. She thought it was over, but Alexander had other plans. Without telling her, he made a few quiet calls. By afternoon, the same women who mocked her were summoned to the headquarters of Reed Enterprises, unaware of what awaited them. When they entered the conference room, Alexander sat at the head of the table, calm, powerful, unreadable. Emily was there, too, silent beside him. "You humiliated my wife publicly," he said. "Now you'll make it right publicly." He turned the screen toward them. It showed a live video feed. "Apologize," he ordered. "Here and now." Trembling, the three women looked into the camera and confessed everything, their tears mixing with shame. Emily felt her heart ache, but also heal. Afterward, Alexander took her hand and whispered, You don't need revenge when you have respect. She smiled faintly. You gave me both. As they left the room, the world outside seemed brighter. Emily had walked through humiliation but came out stronger, loved, and fearless. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more emotional stories that will move your soul.